So you've spent all this time crafting the perfect vacation. You just know it's going to be a great time. But then you discover you fell for something you swore would never happen to you. The dreaded tourist trap. But cheer up, because you're not alone. It's happening to all of us. I'm no stranger to being bamboozled out of hard-earned money at a destination that I wish I'd avoided. But in the age of the internet, we can all help each other to prevent these mistakes on future travels. To that effect, and in no particular order, these are 7 tourist traps around the United States that I wish I knew about sooner. For number 7, we have the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Los Angeles, California. Just that name alone, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It sounds like something worth seeing, right? If nothing else, the Walk of Fame is an incredibly successful marketing idea due to its becoming so wildly recognized. The first 8 stars were laid on Hollywood Boulevard on August 15, 1958, and has since grown to over 2,700 stars with names from film, television, music, and live theater. And no matter your age, you're bound to know some of these entertainment personalities. But the problem lies in the fact that it's literally just a list of names on the ground. When thinking of these entertainment celebrities, we're fans of their work, not their name. How often have you stared at your favorite artist's name and taken a picture with it? No. You watch their movies. You listen to their music. You enjoy everything that they're doing creatively. That is where the enjoyment comes from. And what are these stars on the sidewalk really for? I mean, there's even one for the fictional character of Godzilla. The real reason for the Walk of Fame is to get your tourist dollars in the surrounding shops. But this category can go from bad to worse. In recent years, crime along the Hollywood Walk of Fame has been increasing. It has even started to gain the nickname Hollywood Walk of Shame. Whether it be theft or shootings that have wounded people in the area, I'm having a difficult time seeing any reason for a tourist to visit a list of names that comes with questions over safety. For number 6, we're heading to the Windy City for the Sky Deck at Willis Tower in Chicago, Illinois. Opened in 1974, the Sky Deck provides views of Chicago from inside the 103rd floor of Willis Tower that attracts over 1.7 million visitors a year. But the real draw that brings tourists to this floor is the ledge, a pair of glass boxes that extend out 4.3 feet from the side of the building that opened in July 2009. The experience allows you to see straight down through the glass floor beneath your feet all the way to the ground over 1,300 feet below you. It's said that the ledge was inspired by a famous scene from John Hughes' film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, starring Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck. Still seems like a good time though, right? Well, the problem lies in the details. You can expect to wait in the line to get up to the Sky Deck for 1 to 3 hours. That's an insane amount of time, but you figure it will all be worth it in the end. However, once you reach the front, you will receive a maximum of 60 seconds on the ledge to experience the view and take photos. Several hours in line waiting for a single moment on the ledge is even more ridiculous when you realize it will cost you $40 per person. To be fair, you can decrease the amount of time in line for an additional $20, but you still only get those 60 seconds on the ledge. Does that seem worth it to you? At number 5, we have the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. Can we all agree that visiting the Alamo is a one and done kind of thing? Before our visit, the Alamo would be the first thing that came to my mind if someone asked me what I knew about San Antonio. And I suppose it still is, but for different reasons. I expected so much from this attraction, and it was the most underwhelming thing we did. If you really want to visit one of the Spanish colonial missions, don't lock me up for saying this, but there are much better options than the Alamo. The only thing I did enjoy about the Alamo was the live musket firing demonstration, but that was only about 15 minutes of the time we spent there.
Fire! Fire!
At number 4, let's head back north again to South Dakota for Mount Rushmore. Completed on October 31st, 1941, Mount Rushmore incorporated 60-foot-tall faces of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln side by side surveying the land of Keystone, South Dakota. I won't deny the craftsmanship of the artisans that went into carving out the likeness of 4 presidents in the stone of the Black Hills, but I will point out the disappointment of everything else surrounding this monument. Let's start with the expectation versus the reality of visiting Mount Rushmore. Many have seen photos and video of the monument, and we can all see the work that went into creating this. However, this is what you'll actually see from the viewing deck. Not all that impressive anymore, huh? The viewing platform is several hundred feet away, which means the 60-foot faces look that much smaller. If this wasn't bad enough, the questionability of a visit here gets worse when you look at the history and the 14 years it took to complete. The biggest of these centers around the land where Mount Rushmore sits. The mountain, known as Six Grandfathers Mountain to the Lakota, is a sacred place to the indigenous population of the Black Hills, and was designated as tribal land in the Treaty of Fort Laramie in 1868. But when gold was discovered a decade later, greed took over and the U.S. seized the land. It wasn't until 1980, after a decades-long legal battle with the United States, did the Supreme Court rule the U.S. government improperly took the Black Hills territory and awarded the Lakota $17.1 million in damages plus interest, now well over $600 million. But the Lakota declined the compensation as they advocated for the Black Hills land to be returned instead. You can find more on this in the links in the description. But with all this hanging over Mount Rushmore, I can't in good conscience ever visit here again. For number 3, we've got Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park. When speaking about Old Faithful, located in Yellowstone National Park, as a tourist trap, I need to preface this with the disclaimer that this is not a remark on visiting Yellowstone as a whole, but simply that Old Faithful need not be put on the list of activities when visiting this park in Wyoming. Old Faithful was discovered in 1870 by the Washburn Expedition and became part of the first national park when Yellowstone was created in 1872. Dubbed Old Faithful due to the geyser's frequent and somewhat predictable eruptions, this attraction receives upwards of 4 million visitors a year. This means that you can expect a lot of people to be joining you to watch the geyser eruption. These eruptions can last anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes, with a spray varying in height from 100 to 180 feet, with an average of 135. However, with so much to see in Yellowstone, it's not worth the hour sitting and waiting for a spew of water to shoot in the sky, especially when this 135-foot geyser is viewed from over 300 feet away. With the temperature of the water over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, this distance is completely understandable for safety concerns, but there is much more beauty to discover in America's first national park without the crowds and underwhelming nature of Old Faithful. For number 2, we need to refuel on caffeine at the very first Starbucks in Seattle, Washington.
Did you get a drink or?
I don't know. I like the big wider mugs as opposed to the skinnier ones.
That's fine. I want silver. It's got like tangerine. It's fruity.
Tangerine?
I think that's what it is.
I wish I liked coffee.
I wish
really
you did
do.
too. Maybe you need to work out to like a child, like this much coffee and all the milk.
All the milk and just like sugar and like.
then slowly work your way up. That's how we did it. You got to start young.
Yeah. Well, that's
maybe you should try that.
Yeah. I need to wean myself onto coffee just so I can enjoy coffee, so I can be part of the in crowd. As you can see, it's just another Starbucks, but with a very long line. In our top spot, we have Times Square in New York City, New York. Now, I'm not going to act like I've never been to Times Square, because I have. But any tourist that is planning a trip to Manhattan but has never been should really skip this attraction. Other than being an iconic location shown in film and television, there really isn't a reason to visit in person. You know all those ads you skip while streaming online, or that you ignore on the side of a website as you're reading an article? No? Okay, Imagine setting up 500 televisions in your living room and all of them are playing commercials non-stop. And at the same time, every person you've ever met in your life is in the room with you. Some are watching the commercials, some are playing their own music, and others are performing either as themselves or as a character they're cosplaying as. This packed and chaotic atmosphere is Times Square. And that's our list. Is there anything you disagree with, or maybe anything you feel we missed? Let us know in the comments, and please be sure to subscribe.